Kanuagairono, and welcome to another episode of Straight Talk. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Stock Sr., and we have...
Christine Taylor.
Regan Jacobs.
And Ross. And Regan, you're here.
Yes, I'm back. No, I was kidding. I'm just sitting in for the first part of the show for Jessica. I asked her if I could take her spot for a few minutes because I investigated a very important story this week regarding the issue outstanding in the community about the land of
the land transfer.
The new land transfer, Kahnawake Survival School in Dewa Doni Zakda. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah, I noticed that's actually all over the place right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in the paper. It was it's on even Facebook.
Yeah. So we did an in-depth. We have some in-depth coverage of it, and we're going to go to that story right now. So take a look.
This happened originally when the survival school was being built. We needed the front of the school. We needed access to the new school grounds rather than go all the way by the back, which would have caused a lot of problems. So we asked for the front, and we were denied that through land management. So we went directly to the MCK to ask for the use in the front. They agreed, and what they said was that land had been designated to Dewa, but that we should do a transfer between us. So we agreed in principle. It was like a gentleman's agreement. We agreed acre for acre. That was the commitment we had. And then it just got tabled. It was just left there. We went ahead and we built the school and all of that, and nothing was said more about it to us. And then just recently, the whole issue came up again, and I believe that a lot of parents became very upset because they thought we had already agreed to something, that we had signed something, and in fact, that wasn't the case. Really, we would have lost no land, meaning the education. We wouldn't have lost any land because it would have been acre for acre. So what we gained in the front, we would have just traded for something, and we were looking at more towards the back where the current survival school wouldn't use it anyway.
We had no objection to the entrance of the school being put through commercially designated lands. After a while, it became apparent that the Combined Schools Committee also wanted some restrictions on what we could do with the commercially designated lands. They wanted to make sure that any developments there were compatible with the school, and they cited the experience in the past from the recycling plant next door, as well as Nova PB plant that used to be right next to the school.
Ultimately, negotiations fell through regarding the appropriate land exchange area. Furthermore, Dewa Doni Zakda felt that the acre-per-acre deal was no longer sufficient due to the price difference.
Initially, our board had a study done on land values, and the proportionate results were $218,000 an acre for SLS 11, which is
where survival school is at.
Correct.
Okay.
And for the lands in the back where we wanted them to be exchanged for, on SLS 1, it was approximately $65,000 an acre. Even though the exchange rate was 3.35 to 1, our board said what's reasonable would be 1.5 acres for every acre exchange. And the Combined Schools Committee did not agree with that number. There was an unofficial counteroffer made by the Combined Schools Committee of 1.25 acres, which they were very clear that still had to be ratified through the Combined School Committee process, including probably the parents. Mm-hmm. Our board petitioned that the number should be down the middle. So between 1.25 and 1.5, so they our board counteroffered with 1.375.
Combined School Committee member Tawny Bush says that all Kahnawake land is invaluable.
We agreed acre for acre, and then honestly, in our opinion, or the Combined School Committee opinion, is the value of Kahnawake land is all the same. There's no one piece more valuable than the next. And if you're going to put it in terms of value, then what are you saying about the value of our education? Is it somehow less valuable because, it doesn't have a commercial use?
We were hoping that over time they might reconsider their position, and it became apparent in 2010 that was not going to happen, and so we petitioned the council for a decision.
Ultimately, it is the council's decision, but the position of the combined school committee remains the same, is that it should be acre for acre. If that's, again, us not losing any land, the education, we have such very small piece, and we have plans for the future for our kids.
So do you think at this point it's no longer a combined school committee issue, that it should go back to the community and the Mohawk Council ultimately?
Well, I agree. I believe that's what it is now. I think that the whole issue, the way it came out, that the community became very upset, thinking, being misinformed that we had given up some land. We've never signed anything. It was, again, a gentleman's agreement. But ultimately, I think the community is going to decide this deal. We're going to table the item as well, the issue at our Parents' General Assembly in January. The date hasn't been announced yet. But we are bringing it up, and we're also inviting DEWA to come and present their project, if they'd like, at that time, to the parents of the students.
Which brings us to the second part of this story. What exactly is Dewa Donizakta planning to do with the property?
Let's call it a transloading facility. Basically, look at rail cars or trailers coming into a facility with cargo, which then has to go into a different type of transportation unit, into a container or a trailer. We've all seen the trains going by on the CP tracks full of boxcars, hopper cars, containers. Well, the facility would basically handle any type of equipment that would that would bring cargo into the terminal.
What kind of cargo?
Specifically, the main focus would be specialty crops. Specialty crops coming from out west, from Western Canada. They have to be transloaded into 20-foot containers and then trucked over to the Port of Montreal. We're doing a lot of research, and we've come up with a number of cost estimates for what we have to do. Capital expenditures, operational costs, those are all been researched. We have a good estimate now on what it will cost us. The other part of it is the fact that the volume, we have to generate enough volume commitments from the customers out west to make it a viable operation.
Have you done an environmental study?
An environmental study, no.
Okay.
But there's very little effect on the environment.
How would you know that if you haven't done a study?
We can do a study, but very little effect on the environment. First of all, there's no cargoes. None of this cargoes will be going to ground. And you're looking at the site, which is along the seaway. It's basically rock.
Okay.
I mean,
what about safety?
Safety, will have all the safety concerns addressed within our organization and with the safety standards.
What steps would you take to find out what safety concerns there are in terms of shipping, storage, traffic?
The engineering firm has done this type of project in the past. They're all familiar with the safety concerns, safety standards for operating a terminal. Our operational partner has years of experience in handling this type, and he is very concerned about safety himself. He operates a terminal right now, and we have a partner who's looking at coming in right now. But for confidentiality reasons, he says he would not like his name put out there yet. But he is very involved in the industry, has many years of experience.
Would you say that Dewa Donizakta has the responsibility to approach the community prior to spending community dollars on research studies without the go-ahead from the community that they may or may not feel that this is a good project?
Until we have the full picture of the project and we know what we can do and what we can offer, that's why we do the research.
Can you tell the community how many acres Dewa Donizakta is looking at developing?
Approximately 70 acres, and it's along the seaway.